So, we're talking about religion today. When people hear the word religion, the first thing they usually ask is, what do they believe or what do they worship? But the funny thing is, not all religions actually have belief systems or dogma or worship at all. Take Buddhism, for example. In one of the world's most major religions, there's no worship. What you do find is study and practice, people working with the spiritual truths the Buddha discovered. No dogma, no, you must believe this. So that brings up the question, what is religion really? If you look in a dictionary, you'll usually see definitions tied to belief, faith, or God, but that doesn't quite capture the whole picture. I think a better way to understand religion is to look at why people seek it in the first place. See, there's this idea called the sufferings of life. Basically, it's the accumulation of physical pain, mental stress, and societal pressures that build up or stimulate and make a person suffer. Honestly, that's what everyone is trying to handle, one way or another. So here's a definition that might resonate with you. A religion is a system of information and morals combined with practices that offers hope or a promise of handling the sufferings of life at a spiritual level. Take a moment and check that against your own experience. All right. Now, you might notice that this is exactly why you first got involved in a religion. Now, why do people leave a religion? In the beginning, when you join voluntarily, you study the teachings and do the practices because you want to. You're engaged and you genuinely feel relief from the sufferings of life. But eventually something happens. You violate a moral code of that religion. Maybe it's small, maybe it's big, but either way, something inside you starts to pull back. You still try to follow the religion, but now it feels like you're doing it out of necessity instead of desire. And the benefits start to fade. Over time, that impulse to separate grows. You violate more of the moral codes, you drift further away, and eventually you find yourself opposed to the information, the morals, or the practices of the group. And as that separation spreads into other areas of your life, those areas start to deteriorate too. So you begin searching for something new to handle the same thing that you were trying to handle from the start, the sufferings of life. And here's something important. Anything that forcefully disrupts someone's religious path can be incredibly damaging. It shakes up the information they're using to stabilize their life, and the deterioration that follows can spread everywhere. And when that disruption happens too much, or when the impulse to separate becomes too strong, a person can fall into what you might call the pseudo-religion of materialism. You see this in two ways. In materialist psychology and psychiatry, where the brain is targeted because anything spiritual is dismissed. Or in the pursuit of happiness through expensive possessions instead of spiritual growth. One of the contributions Scientology makes to all religions is that it understands why people fall away, and it has practices designed to reverse that mechanism. The simplest tool for this is a book called The Way to Happiness, a common sense guide to better living. I've included a link to the book and the course. I've also linked a show about a Christian preacher who used this book to re-energize his congregation and expand his church. If you want to talk more, feel free to reach out to me by email, and I'll see you in the next one.